Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm True Mama, and you're listening to Stream Key.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Green here, and thank you for joining me for the Stream Key podcast, episode 3. If you don't know, Stream Key is our podcast where every other week we interview a streamer on platforms like Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, and other new platforms to learn about streaming advice in general and just some tips and takeaways for how to grow as a streamer every single week. This week, I was lucky enough to interview DNLinkman. Now, DN is a TRUgaming sponsored streamer. He's been a part of the TRUgaming community for about a year now, so about since its inception. And he has had a lot of experience, in particular, with network channels. So those are channels on platforms like Twitch and Mixer where you have many people streaming to one platform. So they take shifts on that one platform. And he had some really cool experience on that, and I hope you guys really take a lot away from this podcast in terms of insights and just things to think about with your own channel. DN, thank you so much, dude, for coming on to the podcast. It was an amazing conversation, and I know that our listeners are definitely going to get a lot from it. So yeah, without further ado, guys, let's get right into the interview. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Stream Key. This is one of the TRUgaming podcasts, and today I'm here with Mr. DNLinkman, the one and only. He's a sponsored streamer for TRUgaming. If you guys don't know, Stream Key is our podcast where we talk about streaming, different tips for being a better streamer in general. So today we're going to talk with DN a little bit about his experience in terms of becoming a sponsored streamer, and then also kind of his experience with network streaming, because he's had a lot of experience with that. So DN, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thanks, man. No problem.
And yeah, guys, we're actually using Discord voice chat or video chat today, which is really cool. It just released like a week or so ago. It's not out for everyone yet, but we have it. So looking pretty good so far. I'm really excited about it. So yeah, Dan, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, kind of where you're from, what you like to do, and how you got started on Twitch?
Yeah, man. So Linkman's a bit quiet. Someone said in chat.
No, turn you up.
Yeah, so I'm from Wales, in South Wales, which is in the UK. Hype. And sort of where I'm from. So originally I was born in Bradford, and then I've moved over to Wales. I move around quite a bit, actually, in terms of streaming and stuff. I got into streaming originally in a group channel, which was called Cantrip Collective. Mm-hmm. In that channel there was 9 of us, so it's quite a big step into streaming. And wow. When it first started, I guess it was more just to hang out with friends. Right. Awesome. Than like anything else. So
9 people, that's a lot for a network channel. Were you guys streaming like consistently too?
Yeah, so we streamed like every day, sometimes like more than once a day, over and over again. We had a kind of a slightly organized structure in place. We used like Google Docs, and we had like a big timetable and stuff, and everyone put in slots that they could do.
Oh wow.
And I think for us, it was we knew immediately that 9 people was kind of a weird amount of people. We knew that was a lot of people, right. But like we were covering it kind of like how, I guess, if you have those real-time kind of computer games and stuff where you have someone on the account at all times, it's always going to be someone's there to look after it. And in the sense, we wanted to do the same thing. We wanted to provide content as much as physically possible, just like, each taking slots and stuff like that, all sharing the same channel. Sure. So the channel would be live pretty much as possible.
Yeah, that's definitely a big advantage for network channels for sure, and something kind of similar to how we do for TRUgaming sometimes. So yeah, cool, man. Well, so tell us a little bit about your stream, kind of like what is your stream? What do you kind of do on your channel? What do you focus on? That kind of stuff.
Cool. So like I'm a variety streamer, so we cover a lot of different games and stuff. I'll sort of chop and change what kind of games we play. We usually have like a main focus on the channel. So whatever the big game is for that, the community that I've kind of built at the time is we'll play that quite a lot. But every so often we'll chuck in a couple of extra games. We might start off with something like Choice Chamber, for example, which is a Twitch interactive game.
Okay.
Where the chat can get involved and actually, really get into the game and sort of help or hinder my progress, so to speak,
Right.
through the progress of that game. And I just let them go with it and do whatever.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think the main thing about my stream at the moment is that it's very centralized around the community. I feel like with some of the obstacles and stuff that I face, it's incredibly important to ensure that everyone's happy, that it's welcoming to not just new members, but also to cater the needs of the older members and stuff within the channel, and keep building around that. That's one of the things that I try and pride myself on my stream, is building that community. So
awesome. And you use your own Discord to do that too, right? To kind of build up your community.
That's it, yeah. So we don't have, I keep saying we, but it's I don't have like any real social media kind of networking or anything like that. Don't have Twitter. We have a very inactive Facebook page that I don't use. Occasionally will post on my own Facebook or in Messenger and chat, but majority of it will be done through Discord or just live notification. So again, that's due to obstacles and stuff that I face.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's interesting because I think you're probably one of the only sponsored streamers who doesn't have a Twitter. Like that's the big one. And it's funny because like I went to set up this overlay, and usually I'll put like the Twitter handle there, but then you didn't have one, so I just left it off this time. But no, it's really interesting that you still have this big community, but don't really have the traditional social media. So I think that Discord. I've told a few other sponsored streamers this. I think having your own Discord is a really good way to foster community, even outside of the true Discord. So that's awesome.
It's like the go-to hangout where everyone's going to be there. Like if I ever need anyone to know a really important detail or anything, I can just tag here or everyone. People for here is just smaller things. Everyone's going to see it at some point.
Right.
But I think the main thing with Discord is it's live. Like Facebook is a post you post, or Twitter is a post you post at some point, and then eventually they'll see it. Discord is live. They can interact with their feelings, emotions, etc. right there and then. Tell you what complications. Some people can say I can make it. Some people say I can't.
Yeah.
It's much more personal, I feel.
I totally agree. I actually started my own personal Discord for my stream as like an experiment thing. Because I love the True Discord, and I think it's really good for the whole community of True. But if you're like a streamer and you're trying to grow your own little channel's community, then I think it's not a bad idea to have your own in addition to True, and kind of go back and forth between that or other Discords like True. So cool, dude. Real quick, I'd like everybody just to know that we will have like a Q&A section at the end of this. So if you guys have any questions from me or DN, especially DN, then let us know and we'll answer them at the end. So keep those in mind. Write them down if you think something good. Cool. So yeah, the big thing we're going to talk about with DN today is you kind of heard him talk a little bit about it already, but network channel streaming. And that's when many people are streaming to one channel. So kind of like you guys know Detox, if you're in True, Detox is a network channel. They have many different streamers who take shifts streaming to that channel. And it's kind of similar to how we do the TRUgaming charity streams during like the weekend long streams where we have shifts and rotations. So it's many people sharing one channel as opposed to streaming your own channel. And do you want to talk a little bit about, again, your history with network channels and kind of how you developed those over the years? Yeah,
sure. So originally we started in Cantrip Collective. A lot of people from the TRUgaming probably won't know too much about Cantrip. It didn't last very long. It lasted maybe about 2 or 3 months. But our initial concept was we just wanted to hang out. And it was kind of strange, actually, how like it came about this idea of streaming in the first place, because Cantrip was the first channel I'd ever done. I'd never used Twitch before then. I'd never been on Twitch. I'd never watched it or anything. I was on holiday with my fiance at the time, and I suggested that we should all go on holiday together. And somehow that conversation led to streaming on Twitch. Like it was kind of strange, but we just wanted to spend more time together. We had like this unique kind of group of people. Well, I wouldn't say unique, actually. A lot of people have that group of people that you game and you do whatever with. You play League of Legends with, or you play Ark or whatever. We had this group already in place, so like all of us were close friends and stuff like that. And we built this channel, and then this channel was supposed to be like kind of a way for us to all be able to do stuff together, play games together, but then we're doing something else. It feels like it has a bit of added purpose. It feels like we get to organize more time to spend together and stuff like that. And yeah, so that worked out initially, but then like one of the issues I think that you have when it comes to things like that is you have 9 people.
Right.
It's a good thing. It's also a bad thing. 9 people who are all friends as well. Again, a good thing and also a bad thing. So like, one thing we didn't do, obviously having never been on Twitch or anything like that, is we didn't really discuss too much how we were going to take this channel, where we were going with this and stuff. And what we found in terms of complications is that our mindsets on what we wanted to do with the channel was very different, almost like a 50-50 split, sort of, where some people just wanted to stream because it was just another thing to do. And some people said, actually, you know, I want to make something of this. I want this channel to be big. I want it to be like that. And when you have two mindsets that are that different from each other, on small scale, it doesn't sound that bad, but realistically, it does actually push a lot of pressure and stuff in different directions and stuff when you try and take that channel further. So what ended up happening, there's a lot actually to the story. What ended up happening that we had a lot of organization in place anyway. We had the Google Docs stuff in the background and stuff. We had timetables, and we said what games we were going to play, when we were going to play them, what hour slots we were taking and stuff, so that we didn't try and overlap each other and 2 people went live at the same time or stuff like that, which did happen quite a few times, unfortunately. Just like spontaneous streaming and stuff like that. And we tried to build an organization system in place when we realized that we needed it. I think the issue with, if anyone out there is probably looking to do network streaming and stuff, is if you wait until you need it, you're going to mess up. Because it's one of those things that needs to be in place first. People need to be used to the idea and get used to the change straight away, not have a period of time where you're streaming for like 2 months with no kind of real organization other than just a basic timetable and stuff. And then suddenly get used to all these new ways that you want to go and new changes and stuff. It's just not going to work, because they'll just go, well, we've been doing fine for 2 months now, so why do we need to do it now? So it was complicated, and as such, I guess in a sense, we didn't end up working out as a stream, and we ended up splintering off into smaller network streams and stuff. So I think one of the biggest changes that ended up splintering Cantrip originally was that we realized that actually, okay, as a group stream, this is working. Our followers were going like crazy and stuff. For what we were used to and stuff, we were trying to do research on a few other channels, see how things were going and stuff. And the biggest channel that we knew at the time only had about maybe 1,100 followers. There was a lot of other channels that we knew were in the range between 200 to 300. So, you know, relatively small scale streams and stuff like that. And we were growing to like maybe 150 followers or something in the first month. After that, we were scaling straight up to 300, which at the time, based on what we'd seen around us, we were like, this is quite fast. This is growing quick. And we started getting things like people asking if they could donate to us and stuff. And then money started getting involved. And that's where the problem occurred. Just like real life, money gets involved and it messes up everything. Because then we were like, okay, we're going to need like some kind of proper organization system here. We're going to need to do something. You know, what do we do with this money that people want to donate, for example? And we had a Facebook Messenger chat between us, and that was how we discussed stuff and things like that originally. And obviously, when you've got 9 different people trying to organize that, is chaotic, because some people won't respond and everyone feels that everyone should get a vote and all that kind of stuff. And it's right. But in a sense, if you haven't established that from the first day off, it's going to be very complicated. So the first obstacle we encountered was that things took a long time to decide. Even like the smallest decisions and stuff, it took a really long time. Like you'd be there for like 4 or 5 days or something waiting for the smallest kind of thing to be decided, because all 9 people had to have their say, which is fine. I get that they have to have their say, but I wished it would just happen much quicker. I feel like if all of us had that same unified mindset, then we would have, because what you would have found is that the people who wanted to take the channel forward and go professional with this would have responded within the first few hours or something of a question coming up, and then the other people would take days. So you're just there like, oh, okay. Then we needed to establish how we decided on certain things, because if someone said, yeah, I want to do this, and someone says, no, I don't want to do that, how do you go from that point forward? Which we decided to implement a voting system between us, just sort of like, okay, yeah, if say, for example, more than 50% are happy with this, we'll go forward with it anyway, even if, say, 1 or 2 people don't like the idea, because there's 9 people and it's going to be chaotic otherwise. So there needs to be something to decide that. And that didn't work out either, because the obstacle that we had there was that out of the 9 people, 3 of them lived together. So what we noticed straight away early on is that those 3 people just voted the same way every single time. And it was kind of like, no matter what you wanted to do, it was always going to be those 3 people who had, I guess, the overall say of what happened and stuff. And so it kind of made things really difficult. The initial thing I think that caused conflict within the 9 people was that there was a vote as to whether we should expand Cantrip and add even more people in, which everyone who wanted to progress the stream forward voted against, and everyone that didn't voted for. And so therefore, because it was over 50%, those people got let in, and then it became even worse because those people also lived with the 3 people, and it was just like, nope, and it just, everything just sort of blew up, and it just didn't work out. So from there, we splintered to a group called TRUgaming, which you guys are familiar with. I'm sure there's a couple of people in the chat who will know them as well. We had Regicel, Beardy Glasses, and myself. All 3 of us unified in the approach that we wanted to take this channel professionally and go long term with this. We wanted to build this up properly. We kept to the same voting system, surprisingly, but none of us lived together, so that's a bonus. Reggie lives in North Wales, Beardy lives in South England, and I lived in South Wales, so couldn't be further. We're all close friends. We're not like closer to one and another sort of thing. We've known each other years as well. Like I've known Reggie about 7 years and Beardy about 12 years. So we thought that would help as well, because we can be mature about it. And I think one of the main difficulties we encountered in Cantrip was that you have to, in a network stream, you have to remain professional. There's just no way that you can get personally involved in this. It's kind of, as weird as it sounds, everything has to seem like it's almost like a business decision. It's like you have to remain professional, because otherwise, if you get personally invested, that's when the names start flying out and stuff like that. And then you're like, nope, again, it's just like, no, this has gotten too far. So yeah, we went into TRUgaming, all 3 of us with the same unified approach, and it worked out quite well for quite some time. I think TRUgaming lasted about 4 to 5 months ish, roughly around there.
Okay.
And we had a much better organization system in place. In fact, in some ways, I think maybe we were a little too organized, because we'd already prepared for the fact that we needed organization and stuff. So we had like a Trello page, which had like our to-do list and what we were going to do in terms of graphics and things like that, and stuff for the channels. And we launched this Facebook page, which now isn't used as much, admittedly, but still it's there. This Facebook page, which that exploded. Like I was so surprised about the Facebook page, because we got up to about 3,300 followers. It was insane. This Facebook page was blowing out of control. I had no idea how. So that was crazy. And it did help that Regicel had a lot of different contacts from other Facebook pages that he'd been a part of as well. So he'd been doing this share for share kind of thing, or whatever they call it. I don't know what it is exactly. Different various Pokemon groups and stuff that he was involved with. So those pages were much larger than ours anyway. So in a way, that also contributed largely towards that Facebook pages group and growth and stuff. So yeah, we had that where we post every single time when we were live, and then we'd also have someone that would post every so often just to maintain the activity. It's not just a we're saying we're live page. It was kind of also like, hey, look, we're still gamers, we still care. Here's the new Pokemon Go info, or here's the new, like all that kind of stuff. Because at the time we created TRUgaming, Pokemon Go was kind of a big thing at that point. It was like, pretty big and stuff. And it was kind of cool. In a way, like me, Regicel and Beardy, we were pretty unified on most sets. So like most of our mindsets were kind of like everything we wanted to discuss and stuff. It's like, we had to discuss this. And before I even finished, Regicel would come in and be like, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was just about to say stuff like that. And it's like, it was pretty good. I think in comparison to Cantrip was kind of like, now looking back at it, I'd see it as like a failed experiment, I guess. Whereas TRUgaming was still, to this day, I still regard it as like a great life experience. It was something that, I wouldn't turn back and say I didn't want to do that and stuff, because there's so many advantages to network streaming with your best friends as well as disadvantages. Because you're working closely with these 2 people now. You get to really sort of become invested in this, and then you learn more about these people than I think you might really have learned otherwise doing so, because you're celebrating success together, you're coming up with ideas together and stuff like that, which in a lot of normal friendly situations I don't think you really do that as such. So we had loads of stuff and things like that as well. eventually that became problematic. And I think it first started when, I'm not going to say which one, but one of the two members started appearing less and stuff to streams and stuff like that. And also ended up stopping Cody in the chat there. When, yeah, so they started appearing less, and we wanted to keep maintaining that activity. The other issue that I personally had was that I was the only one networking with the Tree and Prima name, whereas the other two both had their own personal channels. So I kind of was questioning why, like what I feel like we should all be using the Tree and Prima account and stuff. And they said, well, if you're already on it, then we can't be on it. And I'm like, yeah, but I can just tell you when I'm not on it, and then you can use it then. Because what I would find is I'll go visit other people's streams, I'll hang out there, I'll talk and just chat and whatever. I didn't have my own account. I would just only use the Tree and Prima account.
Right.
And every time I go there, it was either a case of explaining Tree and Prima and saying what Tree and Prima is and stuff, because they thought Tree and Prima was a person individually, which is completely understandable.
Just like TRUgaming, it's the same thing. Like when me and Doc both use the TRUgaming thing, it's like people don't know who's talking because it could be either one of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was explaining that a lot. And then when you revisit those streams, they're trying to identify who it is that's on the account. But the problem is I was the only one that really ever used it. So after a while, people just stopped calling me Tree and Prima and started calling me DN. Okay. And it was like, because they knew immediately. It was like, as soon as I come into the channel, I'd say, hey, or something. I wouldn't even give any indication who I am. They'd be like, hi, DN. Yeah. And it's just like, that for me felt like it was a shame. It was like a bit of an opportunity there for them to get to know the channel and all three members and stuff. And really all they were sort of realizing is that I'm the only person really using this channel.
Right.
Yeah, so we had that obstacle there, and then we had the other obstacle, as I said, where one person stopped coming around and stuff. And then this person just completely stopped streaming after a while. And I had to kind of sort of make excuses and stuff as to what they were doing and stuff. And I'd just say, oh yeah, they're doing admin and they're running the Facebook pages and stuff. They're taking a bit of a backbench approach and stuff, because obviously it's kind of intricate and delicate in a sense, because it's like, these are still two of your best friends.
Yeah.
And you don't want to fall out with these people. Like, you don't want to have that say and just say, well, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. You have to kind of like say, make up stuff for them. And it kind of, it's hard to not become personally invested. And that's one of the disadvantages, I think, when it comes to streaming with your best friends, or even just people you regard as friends. With Cantrip, we had 9 people. All of us were friends. After Cantrip finished, I didn't keep in touch with most of those people.
Right.
In fact, we're no longer friends to nearly all of them now.
Wow.
You have the occasional 1 or 2 of them that I say, hey, hello, how are you doing? How's life on Facebook? But that's about it. We don't ever play games anymore. We don't ever do anything together. So it's a warning as well at the same time that, yes, whilst working with your friends can sometimes be great if you have a unified mindset. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that unified mindset, if there's differences, if you become personally invested and you don't remember to keep professional, that's the consequence, is that if the channel does splinter off like that, you could end up losing those friends. It's a two-way thing. So yeah, it's one of them. But I think Tree and Prima, after a while, it began to suffer a bit of a decline where I felt like I streamed a lot personally myself. There was also one of the other two that was streaming every so often and stuff, but it wasn't as much as I would have liked them to stream. And I even made up this compromise at one point when we had a discussion. We kept having to have these discussions where it's like, real talk now. And it's just like, oh, okay. And I said, look, even if you guys just stream like once a week each, and I'll just stream the other 3-4 days a week, and then we just have a day off. Even if we work it like that, I'm happy to do that going forward if it means that it will save our channel. So I found myself making pretty heavy compromises and stuff, because this was starting to take its toll on me. Mm-hmm. We did do that for a while, but it did start to take its toll on me in the end, because it was just like I felt like I was doing a lot of work for this channel, and the yield was still for all 3 of us. All 3 of us took the credit, all 3 of us did this and that and whatever, and I just felt that aside, that wasn't really super important. But what I felt was I couldn't keep doing this in the structure that we'd built it, and I couldn't keep trying to work really hard to try and have this channel grow for a 3-person channel, when sometimes it did feel like, honestly, one of the loneliest things to do, because I just felt like I was a one-man person.
Yeah, that must be really hard, because streaming to one channel with a lot of people, if you feel like you're the one doing most of the work, but then you see other people getting some of that benefit too, I could definitely see how that would start to irritate you a little bit, or at least make you think about starting your own thing, because you're kind of doing that already, right?
So I mean, like, in a sense, it did irritate me slightly, but I mean, I'm not so bothered about sharing the credit and stuff. I think the main thing for me was that there would be times where all three of us, back when we were all really active, would work really hard together to make this, theme stream. We'd really planned it and put some thought in it, and then the stream would go fantastically. And then the celebrations afterwards, when you've got, you do your own stream on something and the stream goes really well, you feel great, and you want to go and tell your partner or whatever, or you want to go tell someone, and sometimes that person's not always readily available, and you're just like, there, like, yes, still a good stream. Like, but then if you've got 3 people that you're streaming, well, 2 people, other people that you're streaming with, and you have a great stream, as soon as that button hits the stop streaming button at the end, it's celebration time. It's like virtual champagne on Facebook Messenger. You're all there, you're all talking. It's all like really big and hyped and everything. I think for me, that's what I started to miss. I felt like there was an accomplishment between 3 of us working together and doing that. And I didn't mind doing it so much on my own, but it just felt a bit lonely sometimes. It was a bit like, there's potential for us to grow so much more than we're growing right now. There's potential for us to build this page and make more of this than we are right now. And I couldn't understand in my head what the reasons that they were giving me and stuff for not streaming and so forth. I couldn't understand in my head why that would be an obstacle, or why that would stop them from doing that. And then I just kind of missed those times. I guess in a sense it was a bit nostalgia-like though, but you miss what you don't have. Like,
no, for sure. I mean, that's definitely a big difference between the channels that I don't think about myself, and probably most people don't, is, when you have something really cool happen to your stream, if you're just a solo streamer, like, you can share it with your community, but no one's really going to get it or enjoy it as much as you, because you're the one who made it happen. Whereas if you have like a network channel and you share it with 2 close friends, then when one of you succeeds, you all benefit from that, and you're all really excited. And it's kind of similar with True. Again, I keep going back to this because charity streams, but when all the streamers do the charity streams together, then everyone gets really excited to watch each other, and it's a really cool thing that network channels have. So I think that's a really cool point.
Yeah. So obviously, I think it's kind of obvious what happens next, but in that sense, from having done that a lot and felt a lot on my own, it got to the point where I started discussing with a couple of maybe the closest or most regular members, ones that I began to trust implicitly through that time, and said, look, what do you think of the idea of me I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but what do you think of the idea of me going off and doing my own channel? Do you think that's a bad idea? Do you think it's selfish of me? Would you still come watch? That kind of stuff. It's like, I know I made it implicitly clear that it's like, I'm not definitely doing this. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to steal you away from a group channel or anything like that. It's not about that. It's just I'm having thoughts in my head, and like, they obviously, from those regular members as well, because they were there every stream, they saw this happening as well. It's not like I was on my own there. They already identified this with me. I was already getting questions from them saying, where are the others and what's going on and so forth. So it was like they already were fully aware of the situation, and they were pretty good and good support and stuff. And there was a few tears and whatever, but it was kind of like in the end, I kind of felt like, okay, we'll give this a shot. So it was sort of like around late December or something. So this did overlap a little bit, where I decided I'm going to launch my own channel. And I said to the other guys, I said, look, I can't keep doing this on my own. I can't keep streaming 4 times a week for you guys to maybe or maybe not stream once a week. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to stream twice a week on the group channel from now on. I'm just going to cover the weekends. I'll try and stream as long as I can on the weekends, and then on the other days I'm going to stream on my own channel. And they didn't like that, obviously. But it was like, well, there's not, I said, like, I felt like there wasn't much discussion on this point. It's something that's going to happen, and we're just going to see how it goes. And I was like, for me, like, there's a couple of pros and cons. I was trying to, I think in a way I was almost trying to justify it to myself why this was a good idea, because like it was something I wanted to do. And I was like, I don't really want to abandon the other 2, and that's not how I want to take this approach and stuff. And I was like, I can still benefit the main channel by shouting them out every so often. And, it's another avenue for people to come watch another channel and then go to that channel and so forth, which works in everyday life. If you have like a company that launches 2 different brands, and people will prefer one brand to another and so forth. And sometimes if they dislike one brand, they could still be buying from the same company without realizing. I guess in a sense it's like that. So I was thinking it's a bit like that. But I think the main thing is I just wanted people to start realizing that it's me. Like I was sick of being on the Trium Prima channel, going on another person's channel, and then they go, "Oh, Trium," and then they talk to me as if I was an individual called Trium. I just wanted them to recognize it's me. You know, I'm DN. That's who I am. I don't want to be Trium. I want to be DN. So
I think when you guys joined TRUgaming, like I definitely had that issue when you guys, like, you were all three in there, but I didn't know. I thought Trium Prima was one of you. I didn't know which one. And so, like, I remember we played Rocket League and would have that issue. But, like, Trium, come over here. Like, so that's really funny to bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
But, yeah, I think eventually from there, obviously, it kind of favored in the solo channel. I started finding myself also streaming less to the group channel. And one day we kind of made this decision, just said we should just call it. You know, it's clearly not working out. Without my activity, the channel was receiving very little streaming activity, and it kind of started dying off, and it's a shame, but that's the kind of way it headed. But the main thing I think that we took away from that is because we were professional, because we were friends, we mutually ended that. There wasn't an argument there wasn't a falling out. I'm still good friends with Regicel, I'm still good friends with Beardy, we still work closely together and stuff. I have heard little rumors and stuff that they may be streaming on their own channel at some point. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you know, good for them, and I'll be there to support them. I'll still be there to shout them out and rate them if they do. So that's
awesome, man. Well, thank you for that very, very detailed
I just say it was going to be a long story.
No, that was really good. It was really interesting. I have a few questions about different points. So you said you didn't regret joining Trium Prima. You loved that. You wouldn't take that back.
No.
Do you regret joining the first organization, or do you not regret that either?
I mean, it was a learning experience. So, like, I feel like if I hadn't have done that first, then I may have made the same mistakes on Trium, and it may not have gone as well. Yeah. And as I said, the thing to understand here is that with Trium Prima, Regicel and Beardy Glasses, I've known them for an awfully long time. Right. With the people in the 9 people there was only really one of them that I'd known for an equally lengthy amount of time. All the rest of them I'd probably known for about a year or two. Sure. So I think I would have been more upset and more hurt by losing Regicel and Beardy Glasses from my life than losing any of the other people that were in that channel. Some of them I didn't even know starting out. It was kind of like friends of friends who have joined in somehow. And it's like, well, I'm not really so cut up about that. Right. And then the others, it's kind of like, well, I guess after this time, it's just a case of you giving me a chance to reveal your true colors, which I never had that opportunity before. There were a couple of people that, you know, upset to leave, but without that learning experience, I wouldn't have been able to have Trium Prima the way it was. We wouldn't have been able to grow this the way that we had. We'd already had a bit of research and understanding and stuff from how a channel and a network channel should function and the organization levels you need behind it and stuff. So I don't know, I think is the answer. That's fine, I think in a sense, no, I don't regret it, but I would have liked it to have gone differently, but I can see how it was also unavoidable. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
So to be clear, were Beardy and Reggie in that first group with you as well?
They were, yeah.
Okay, awesome. I didn't actually know that, so that's cool. Did you guys ever come to like an agreement on what to do with money? This would have been even more interesting with the affiliate program, I think now, but like in terms of donations,
So at the time, obviously, the affiliate program wasn't out. I feel like if it was out, then this would have been way more pandemonium than I could ever have imagined. It would have been a lot worse. And maybe the issue would have arisen sooner, which actually wouldn't have been such a bad thing. But in terms of money, initially what we decided was that we were going to invest 50% of it into the channel and the other 50% would be divided by 9, which in theory at the time sounded like a really good decision, but when you think about that properly, it's actually a terrible, awful decision. Obviously money had to be reinvested in the channel, and I guess the other side to network streaming is that if you intend to take it seriously, if you tend to make your mindset clear in terms of going forward and make this channel professional, one thing you have to understand is the more people you add, the more times you're going to have to divide that money. So if you want to become full-time streamers, all of you, and you want to be able to quit your jobs and just full-time stream, that's a lot of people that you're going to need to accrue. Yeah. That's a lot of, you're going to have to try maybe 6 times as hard as Summit 1G or what's his name, Dr. Disrespect, or all those kind of people, because, or 9 times as hard in my case, with Cantrip. So, it's something that you need to remember and factor in, that in a sense, as a 9-person channel, we maybe didn't think about that to start off with, because that wasn't our initial direction. That wasn't something we wanted to do. It was just, we wanted to spend more time and maybe, make something of it. But we didn't think too much into the detail of that. And even with Trium as well, actually, we didn't really think about where long-term money was going to come into it and factor into it, and how we deal with it and stuff.
Because you said you started mostly just wanting to do it for fun, right? Just a bunch of friends wanted to stream together, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Like, initially my idea was nothing to do with streaming. I just wanted to spend more time with them.
Right.
I just thought it would be cool if they were all on holiday. I was on holiday at the time in Spain. I was enjoying myself and stuff, and I just kind of missed them all. And I just thought it would be great if all of them were here, we were all together, or even just, 1 or 2 of them were here and stuff. It would be really, really awesome. But it just didn't really pan like that. For some reason, we started talking about old times, and then we started talking about YouTube videos that me and Beardy Glasses had made when we were back in like 2005 and stuff like that. And then from there, I think it just kind of led to Twitch. And then we were all talking about the idea of doing it. So yeah, in a way, it was fun and for hanging out. But then at the same time, I think some of us from the get-go of this stream wanted to make something of it, or very early developed that concept that we wanted to try and take that forward. And I think maybe somewhere along the line, all of us had a misunderstanding that our goals weren't unified in that respect. Yeah, some people genuinely didn't want to do it.
Right. You mentioned that, like, at the start, some people kind of took it less seriously than others, and some wanted to go more long-term. I'm guessing that you were one of the people who wanted to go more long-term with the channel and, like, a bigger picture.
Yeah. So me, Beardy Glasses, Regicel, and maybe about 2 others wanted to take it long-term. We kind of had already assumed for some reason that everyone had that same approach, because the way that all of us were talking about the channel when we first started and things we were going to do and stuff, it really sounded like everyone was, like we were starting a brand new company or something. It was literally like we were all like, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, it's going to be like this and stuff. And I just kind of assumed that everyone was on that same wavelength. It was only when the discussion of money first came around that we discovered that actually half of them didn't think that at all, and they thought that we were on their wavelength of not taking it forward and just having fun with it and stuff. So it kind of got confusing somewhere along that line.
Yeah, it's funny how money can make that happen when it gets in the mix.
Just like real life, it ruins lives.
Did you guys, when you moved into Trium, did you keep the same kind of money policy in terms of splitting it 50% of the channel and then the rest between the 3 of you guys?
No. When we went to Trium, we decided to skip the 50% to the channel thing, because all 3 of us had the unified goal in mind. There was also a shared sense of understanding that we would want to invest our own share of that money into the channel anyway. So we said that we'd just do 33% each, and then what we want to do with it is what we want to do with it. If we invest it into the channel, great. If we don't invest into the channel, then that's fine too. Which all 3 of us already knew that we were going to be investing a lot of that back into the channel anyway, because like it's so early on that money doesn't make a massive difference to us,
Sure, yeah.
If we did earn any money with the Trium Prima channel, which eventually we did, but at the time we weren't thinking we were going to do so in such a short time span. If we did earn any money, we were expecting that it would be like a 5-year plan before we'd even start considering about taking money back for ourselves and using it towards life and whatever. So it was one of those things where we initially knew that anything we earned was kind of going to go back into the channel anyway. Ironically, when we split off, we did have some money left over, and we ended up sharing it a third each. And obviously, no one invested it back into the stream by that point, because the channel had gone. So we just spent it all on alcohol. But it was fun. We all went on like a camping holiday around last June or something.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So we all just spent the whole lot of it on alcohol.
At least you're honest about it. That's awesome.
Well, there's nothing going forward with that stream anymore. So,
did you ever consider weighting the split differently based on who received the donation? Because that's something that we've been thinking about a little bit with True. So let's say you received $100 during your shift, and then Regicel received $5. Did you ever consider splitting that split differently based on who received the donation?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, that conversation came up many times. It was a big dispute that we'd had between the three of us and stuff, especially with considering how towards the end of the stream, I started feeling like, well, we're actually making money now as a channel. We're making donations and stuff, but I'm pretty much the only person that's streaming. So it did feel a bit like, okay. And then they came to it with, oh yeah, but you're saying that about money and stuff. And again, money kind of ruins a lot of things. But the conversation came up and stuff. And in the end, I said that it's not a problem for me that we're sharing the money equally. In fact, I kind of want you guys to have the money. It's a problem for me that you guys aren't doing too much to earn it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that, I think that was one of the few arguments that maybe never actually got resolved in the end. Before the channel ended up splitting up, it wasn't something that actually got resolved. But then in the end, I just, as I said, they're both my best mates. I didn't really care too much about the money. We hadn't earned a massive amount anyway. And I was kind of like, let's just split it 3 ways and just call it a day.
So I guess sort of like the lesson in all that would be, make sure that if you want to work in a network channel or start a network channel, make sure that you think about the money beforehand, even if you're not an affiliate, even if you've never gotten $1, because it will come and you're going to have to decide about it, and you would probably want to do it sooner than later. So, but cool. Thank you so much for all that history again. Do you have like any sort of advice for other people who either want to join a channel or start their own network channel?
Yeah. So again, I think it's important. I think most of my advice is actually going to be towards starting a network channel, but I'll cover joining as well.
Okay.
It's really important that you have the organization in place. Like, you have to remain professional. You can't become personally involved and stuff like that. If you start becoming too personally involved, you're going to start making things really messy. You need to remember that sometimes when it comes to network channels, there are 3 different minds, or however many different minds in that group, and you need to realize that some of it's going to be give and take. You're not going to get everything your own way. You can try and add your own spin on the channel and stuff by all means, but you can't go too far with that. You have to remain professional. Organization is key and important. If you don't have organization, things are just going to fall apart. You need some kind of system in place. We ended up having Google Docs for different things, like what games we covered, what times we were going to start streaming. We had a Trello for to-do lists in terms of graphics and what needed to be done. We all took an active share in that initially. We had a Slack group so that we could discuss things, because we ended up having an outside external artist trying to draw on some of those stuff and things like that. So we had a Slack group for communication with that guy as well. We had a Facebook Messenger and chat as well that was called TRUgaming at the time. And we just discussed everything we wanted to in there. There was a lot of behind the scenes organization. I think for anyone that's just a viewer out there, they may not realize just how much a streamer has to work behind the scenes. And I think every streamer out there can say that a lot of the work when it comes to streaming is actually things you're doing outside of the stream. It's not stuff inside the stream. It's all the preparation, the graphics, and all the setting up of everything and so forth. You guys need to be unified as much as possible in those decisions. And if you're not unified, you can't avoid that topic. That's a really key point. If there's something you're not happy about, you need to let the others know. You need to sort it out and come to a point where everyone is happy with what is happening at that time and what that decision is. Even if it's meaning, you're going to have to do a bit of give and take, so long as you can be satisfied that that's okay going forward, because you can't have that. You can't have that background issue going on, that thought at the back of your mind, because it's just going to cause problems. So I think that the main things are those sort of things, that you need to remain organized and you need to remain professional. Almost treat it like it's a job or something in a sense, but just don't forget about your love for streaming and stuff as you're going along. But yeah, if you have to be prepared for the consequences and stuff. If you do end up becoming too personally invested or you're not organized, things are going to end up going wrong and stuff, and you're going to have to be prepared for that. So it is remembering to give and take.
Right. Just my own little question. What did you guys use for scheduling in terms of like an app or something, or Google Calendars? What was
Google
your plan
Sheets.
there? Google Sheets? Okay.
Yeah, Google Sheets. We had a big timetable that said Monday, Tuesday, all the way down to Sunday. And then each line had a different hour slot. And what we would do, we'd have a small key at the bottom that had 3 different individual colors. We would simply write the time slots that we wanted to put in. And rather than putting our own name, obviously you'd fill it in with a color and then just the abbreviations of whatever game it is that you're going to be covering during that time. It gave us a good indication there, so that 1, we wouldn't be overlapping each other, or anyone that had overlapped, we kind of did like these half blocks, but we'd already discussed it beforehand, said what was going to happen in terms of that, because sometimes it's going to fall under half an hour or whatever.
Right.
And then it also gave us a good indication to keep variety, because our main key on that channel was variety. So if you had too many blocks of the same game over and over again, that wasn't going to work. So people chopped and changed what they wanted to play and stuff based on that, and then just allocated different slots to do it accordingly. We also had a fourth key, which was like a gray color, for any time that we invited or planned to invite guest streamers or outside people to join in with that channel and stuff, so that way we knew how much we were getting involved with external streams and networking and so forth as well. And we tried to make a conscious effort to every so often include other people within our plans again, because again, it's networking. It's part of, you know, how it's all done and so forth.
Right. So you guys actually had guest streamers besides the three of you stream the Tree and Prima as well?
No, not exactly. So guest streamers who would be present on the channel, but not actually streaming from our channel. Just like, you know, if, say, for example, because there was so many times where we would just stream between the three of us, I'd be using my own channel, and then Regicel would use his own channel to host our channel and then stream that. So sometimes we would also have additional streamers who had their own channels host our channel and then do it that way. Gotcha. Or we'd have like a multi-system like you guys do when you're playing PUBG and stuff like that, sometimes on True. So yeah, just like presence of other streamers so that we notified those little points.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, we use Google Sheets as well, and I was just kind of curious what you guys use, because Google Sheets is okay, but I'd like to have a more some sort of better scheduling system, and I think there might be some Twitch extensions that are good for that now, from what I've heard. So I might look into that. But
yeah, I haven't really looked into it.
Oh yeah. But anyway, that's really cool. That was a pretty long discussion, so thank you for all that stuff. That's cool. All your insight. I would say kind of the takeaways that I got from what you said is, if you're going to start a network channel, make sure, you guys, that you are organized. Do whatever it takes to make sure you have schedules and just like identity and everything planned out ahead of time. And make sure that you communicate a lot. Make sure that if you have something that you feel about the channel, that you are telling people how you feel, and that you make sure everyone in the channel has a voice in where the channel is going and is being heard. So awesome, Dan. I think we can take some chat questions now. If there's anybody in the chat who would like to ask some questions to either Dan or myself, we'll be here and we would be happy to answer. In the meantime, while we're waiting for some questions, what games are you playing right now, Dan? What do you like to play? I know you played a lot of Rocket League, but are you still playing that?
Yeah, we're still playing a lot of Rocket League. As I said before, like on my own stream, we have this kind of, because we've established this community now, and I'm sure you guys have seen that community as well quite a lot. But because we've established that community, it's whatever's big in that community at the time. That focus does change a lot. But then we have some go-to classics, and then we also have like some what I call like retro games. They're not really retro, but it's just games that I used to play that I don't want to stop playing just because I want to stream other things and so forth. So Rocket League is a go-to classic. It's one of those things where it's just, you know, occasionally we will just do it anyway, just for the sake of doing it, because it's something that I'm really familiar with, and it's something that viewers can get involved and stuff with.
Sure.
PUBG, I think, is another one that I've been playing quite a bit lately. So obviously, again, that's a no-brainer, but you can get viewers involved. I think a lot of the games on my stream at the moment are all multiplayer based, though. There's very few games that I consider to be like single-player games. We've been playing a game called Northgard, which I don't think you guys will have heard of.
Right.
It's like, if you imagine Banished, if you've ever played Banished before, where you have to have that tribe management system. You have to stimulate the growth of that tribe. Imagine that, but versus other players who are also doing the same thing, and you can turn those tribe people into warriors and stuff like that. So Northgard is like a pretty big hype on my channel at the moment, simply because one of my members, Saldark, has gone around and bought several of the viewers copies of the game just because, just to be supportive, I guess. So now, like, there's about 8 of us who own the game now, and we're all just there, like, playing it away. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. It's interesting because it's one of those games. It's not like Civ or Age of Empires or something like that, where you can just gather the resources and build off demand. You have to have that tribe in place. The people that you're building into warriors, for example, have to come from that tribe. They can't just appear out of thin air. And so you have to worry about things like their hunger, their sickness, their health, and whether they're wounded, and whether they're fed, and whether they're cold, and stuff like that. So it's interesting to try and manage that and then still win in a game versus other tribes who are also doing the same thing at the same time. So that game's pretty fun.
I'll have to check that out for sure. That sounds pretty cool. We do have one question, I believe, from Pixel Goons in the Twitch chat. If you had to give someone suggestion to open up a little more and be more comfortable with cam and recording in general for YouTube, what would it be? And I assume this applies to Twitch too, probably.
This is an amazing question. Right. I'd written a couple of notes beforehand, and this was one thing I meant to cover and then ended up choosing to skip over. But yeah, I am probably one of the most introverted people ever. Like, especially when I first started streaming and stuff, I was terrified of the idea of going on cam. I was terrified of the idea of even being on mic on a live channel and stuff. So this is a perfect question. All I can say is the more exposure that you give yourself to doing these things, the more comfortable you're going to become with doing them. It's a shock for anyone, I think, when they're first streaming. I'm sure it's the same for everyone out there. For the idea of the fact that you're going to be on a cam live constantly all the time, any mistakes that you make, it's a terrifying thought. And then you're thinking, well, what if these viewers say that they don't like me, or all this kind of stuff. The more exposure that you put yourself to doing that out there, the better and more comfortable you're going to feel with doing it. It's not something you can just learn. It's something that happens over time. With me, myself, I know that I'm quite introverted, so I already had a disadvantage to start off with. So I'm a little socially awkward IRL, I guess. But like, one thing I can recommend doing once you have already established yourself quite a bit after, for camming and stuff like that, one thing I can really recommend doing is go on an IRL stream and just do an IRL stream for a few hours, and you'll know exactly what I mean. Anyone that's done it will know exactly what I mean. The kind of people that you attract is insane. And I've watched another streamer do this, actually, back when she was quite small. And she had an IRL stream nearly every single day for like months. I was thinking, how on earth can you do this? There are people coming in chat that are saying all sorts of stuff. And every single time she refused to ban them. She refused to time them out. She refused to do anything. And she called it rolling with the trolls. And that's something that I can really recommend trying to do. Do an IRL stream for a few hours and roll with those trolls while you're open on that cam and mic and there's nothing else on the screen.
Wow.
Just do it, see what happens. And you'll be surprised if you can overcome those troll remarks, because these are just normal people who are coming on your channel. They're just bored and stuff, and they're just coming over because they've got nothing better to do. You roll with those trolls, and you'll be surprised how many of them turn around and go, actually, you know what? You're not that bad a person. I'm going to give you a follow. And they come back as normal people from then on. It's surprising, but there's a lot there. But yeah, exposure is definitely the 100% answer to that question.
Just a lot of practice, and that's really interesting for that strategy, because that takes a lot of confidence. And with an IRL stream, you can't just like lean back on the game. You have to. You can't just sit there and play a game if you're doing IRL. You have to do something. So I think that is probably a great way to practice that.
Yeah, and I'm also like a really sensitive guy as well. So I take things really personally, and I become really personally invested. I try not to. I try to hide it. But on an IRL stream, definitely 100%. That's the full place where you're just fully open. There's nothing you can do about it.
No hiding, for sure. All right, we do have another question from Xalander. Xalander, yeah. Hopefully I said that right. Vid cam quality. Have either of you found having vid essential, and has quality of the feed affected streams, or is a general cam able to capture facial expression enough to suffice? So you can go first if you want to have your thoughts on this. I have my own thoughts as well. What do you mean by vid
essential?
So basically, I think he's saying,
do you
need a vid cam?
I personally feel like it's important to have a webcam. I don't know, how other people feel about this. I have seen a couple of streams out there, one or two, that have managed to make themselves really successful without the use of any camera. I think Admiral Baru is probably one of the biggest examples when it comes to that, because generally speaking, most of his streams, even though he's a really big partnered streamer, are without a camera at all.
Is he a really good player at the game he plays? Like, does he play one game in particular, or okay?
I don't know if he plays one game in particular, because to be honest with you, I haven't visited his channel that many times. He's the guy that everyone seems to have subscribed to because of the emotes, and they have the cute, and the bears and the cat faces and whatever.
Right.
Everyone seems to sub to him just for emotes mostly, but that guy is still really popular, and a lot of people still tune into his channels and stuff. I thought I'd go watch one of his streams once where he talked about potential cam reveal, and all of his viewers were saying that they'd never seen him do that before, and instead he turned the webcam on a picture of his face and started drawing a mustache on it. Which is really funny, but he has a good humor. But back to the question, I feel like a camera is really important, because you're building a community, you're building a stream where people, the one common denominator between every single stream that you ever do is you. So people are going to want to see you. They're going to want to, watch you. They're going to want to hear you. And that might be a bit intimidating at first, but you get used to it pretty fast. but it makes it also feel a lot more personally invested.
Yeah.
You're revealing parts of yourself to the stream and so forth, and you're allowing them to get to know you better, and that's going to help be a way for them to build that bond with you or develop that kind of link to you as to why they should follow your channel, as to why they should come back and watch you. I'm not saying without cam you can't do it. I'm just saying that it's a lot easier with a cam because it's another method for them to identify with you as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I totally agree with you that having a camera is easier for sure. For building an audience, I think it's hard to say that. I think if you have a camera, it's going to be easier, like just hands down. But you can do it without a camera. I think when you think of some of the big streamers that don't use a camera, there are a few of them, like Lyric, obviously is huge. There's some others, like I watch a lot of League of Legends. There's some very, very popular League of Legends casters who don't use cameras, who get tons of viewers. The difference is they're very, very, very good at the game. And I think if you're really good at a game, that can work. Or alternatively, if you have a really nice voice. And specifically, I think if you're a girl, that helps. Like, I'll tell you just straight up, if I go watch a stream and there's no camera, but there's someone talking with like a nice voice, then I might be interested. But if it's no camera, and especially if it's a bad mic, then I'm just out. I'm not interested for the most part. So I think having a nice microphone is the most important thing. Having a camera is important, but not completely essential. And then in terms of his second part of his question, do you need a general camera or a better camera? I honestly think it's more about the lighting than the camera. Like, it's nice to have a nice camera, but you don't need a super expensive camera. I have like a $30 camera I'm using right now. But just trying to make the picture look nice is more important, I think, than the actual camera you're using, if that makes sense.
I use a Logitech C920, which is $44.99. I don't know how much that is in dollars. It does full HD, and it's probably the cheapest, best cam that you can get that the majority of streamers will use out there. Hands down. I've asked a lot of people, and most of them have fed back the exact same thing. It's a Logitech C920.
Yeah, I think it's only, I want to say close to 50 or something. But it's definitely a good camera for that. I've seen a lot of recommendations for that. Cool. I think we have some more questions here. So IT Guy says, how do you handle splitting your attention between the game and your viewers?
So this is kind of tough in a sense. Like, streaming for me is more about the community, more about the chat, more about the people who have come, and I think that's integral and important to remember that YouTube is for where you demonstrate skill and gameplay and stuff, because you have the chance to edit everything, you have the chance to do everything. It's not as such live. I know you can do live YouTube now as well, but anyway, we'll ignore that factor. But that's kind of where all your skill and performance and stuff comes through. And in terms of Twitch, it's more about providing gameplay for your viewers, but also becoming interactive with those viewers and making sure that they're happy and stuff like that. So for me, my attention mostly goes towards having chat as a focus. I've got a dual monitor system, so I have my game on one screen, my chat on the other screen, so I know exactly what was going on. Before I had a dual monitor system, there is apps and stuff that you can download where it will show the Twitch chat on there, so I had that still available to me as well. I play a lot of games which either are like strategy games and stuff like that, so in a sense quick clicks and stuff like that is important, but you can still not really look at the screen to do that. You can just kind of become learned almost in what it is you're trying to do. And so in a sense that gives me the opportunity to look away and so forth. In between games like Rocket League, it doesn't take a massive focus, and occasionally when you score a goal or something, you can look at the chat quickly, read a lot of lines, and then come back to it. PUBG, again, you're looting and stuff, but there's not every single situation where you're going to be completely in danger. And I think a lot of games actually allow you opportunities for you to say that you can look away and then come back to it. It's almost, I guess, in a sense, like in singing, they take breaths and stuff in between lyrics. You can look at it like that. It's like that. There's opportunities for you to do that. A good streamer will always pay attention to their chat, in my opinion. I don't want to say people who don't are about it.
I totally agree. And I think breathing is a really good metaphor. I think, like you said, most games have some break, even if it's very short, where you can afford to take a look at the chat and not miss anything. I will say that there's kind of like a variation in streamers too. Like, I think most streamers will play up the chat as the center point of their stream, but some streamers, the people come to watch their stream because they're really good at the game. So sometimes streamers will actually focus more on the game than the chat. but that's what the chat wants, if that makes sense. So I think you have to think about your channel and then just cater to that, whatever that is. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think we have a few more questions, it looks like. Just checking really quick here.
A lot of response-ish stuff.
Yeah. Lots of text, trying to read through it all. Okay, I mean, that might be the only question, actually. So in any case, I would just say find a way that works. And it takes practice, too. Definitely, it's going to be a little bit overwhelming at first, but once you do it more and just make yourself do it, it'll get a little bit easier and easier. So cool. Well,
I was going to say, in response to what Pixel Goons wrote there about Taco Bell and stuff, that's something that I commonly do as well. So if you do have any kind of incoming trolls with incoming messages and stuff, rather than, I briefed my team, my moderation team and stuff, to make sure that they do not ban or time out people unless it's directly offensive, not to me, but to someone else in chat, or if it's racist. Either of those two things, completely fine, by all means, ban them, whatever, etc. But otherwise, I say, look, whatever it is, even if they come in and say, hey, dude, your nose looks like the size of Minnesota, which I've actually had a couple of times, and stuff like that, it's like, don't ban them. Because I will just roll with that, and I'll just come back with some kind of comeback that's on the spot there and then, and I'll just deal with that, because it's easier to do that. And as you said, you gained a follower that day because you can make someone laugh, and that's why they're there. They're bored. They're doing that because they're bored. You make them laugh, that's fine. They see that you're a genuine person. So again, just elaborating on that, that's what I would do.
For sure. And you just got a conversation topic too, right? Now you have something to talk about when they come in there. I think you probably have more of a tolerance than most people, which I think is cool. And I think you have to kind of find the way you want to handle trolls yourself on your own channel. But I definitely like your advice, trying to roll with it instead of just shutting it off. I think that's a really cool thing. And I'm definitely going to try and do more of that myself on my channel.
I mean, you have to build on it. Like I said, when I first started, I would just ban anyone originally that just came in with any kind of intention to be malicious to anyone, even if it was me and stuff.
Right.
And then I built on that. So as I said, that IRL streaming method that I mentioned before, I actually had my fiance sat next to me at the time as well. So you can imagine even more people came in because they saw a girl and stuff. But it's one of those situations that if you expose yourself to that quite a bit, then you can learn how to handle it. Even if you don't handle it very well at the beginning, the people who are actually there to watch you will understand that, because everyone's human, right? They all get it. They all understand completely that someone's come in, they made you look like a bit of a fool. And if you can't handle it very well, it's fine. But the more you sit there and expose yourself to that, the better you're going to come at handling it and know how to turn that situation around. And then it's just not that important anymore. Right. Anyone who comes in and does stuff like that, if you're worried about, that they make you look like a fool, they're not making you look like a fool. If anything, they're just making themselves look like a fool because they're bored and have nothing better to do. And most people will understand that. So that's the key thing to remember. But yeah.
Sweet. I just see Zalander in the Twitch chat said sees a lot of people recommending cameras above $100. So I would say you definitely don't need to go that high. And actually, I think definitely. The camera that DN uses, was it again Logitech 920?
C920,
yeah. I think that is actually on sale in the US right now at Best Buy. I'll grab the link for it after the show and post it in the Twitch chat, as well as the description if you're watching this afterwards. But yeah, definitely check that out. If you just want basically the best webcam you can start with, I think that's hands down the best one. So I'll grab that link for you guys afterwards. Don't worry about that.
100%.
Cool. Well, I think that is most of the podcast, man. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Where can everybody find you, dude?
Good question. If you watch any of my streams, you'll see I advertise my Discord quite regularly anyway. So I definitely would say stop by my stream. Even if I'm offline, there is a link on that page, on the stream offline page, that shows you exactly where my Discord is. And that is the best place really to find anything about me, because I post all my updates on there. I talk to everyone on there. We have a really massive community on there, and that's how we build it. It's kind of, I guess, again, as I said before, a more personal level. You'll find anything to do with me there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll post up that Discord link in the show notes and everything as well, so people can get access that. And definitely go check him out, guys. He's a really cool dude. Really good stream, especially if you like Rocket League. The guy is an amazing Rocket League player. So
Too kind.
Definitely check him out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out and watching Stream Key. This is episode 3, and we'll be back again in about 2 weeks. We're going to actually have a podcast every Monday now with the schedule that things are going. So you'll be able to catch a podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Spreaker, Twitch, everything else every Monday, whether it's this or True Talk. So hope you guys will stay followed to the show, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Doc's going to be taking over real quick on the channel after we end, so don't go anywhere. He'll be back on right away. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys later. Hey, what's going on? This is Ben Green. You're listening to String Draw the Thing. I am talking. And does it sound better here? Does it sound better here? Does it sound better here? It might sound better here or here. Hello. How are you doing? Hello. I am here. Yeah.